What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. Join us now as we look at this week's edition of AEW Dynamite, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including WWE teasing a tag team split, Cody Rhodes' Wrestlemania spoiler, Vince McMahon called this the worst match ever, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new channel, Wrestlelamia Shorts. As always, we won't recap the matches, but just look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, Christian is back. A Captain Charisma is back, and just in time as Jungle Boy Jack Perry has been in holding pattern ever since he finished his feud with Luchasaurus. This should be a fantastic feud if Christian can stay healthy. Number 2, the usual good matches. Does AEW have bad matches? While it'd be ridiculous to say that every bout is a 5-star classic, fans watching Dynamite and Rampage know that they can count on seeing excellent action in the ring, and last night was no exception. While high quality grappling isn't a show's only component for success, AEW aced it here. Number 3, Elite vs Top Flight and AR Fox, getting interesting. The Elite's current program with Top Flight and AR Fox has proved interesting, as it provided Top Flight and Fox some much needed TV time against top opponents. The challengers have to be pushed enough that they are credible opponents, and hopefully will get some momentum regardless of whether they win the trios titles. Number 4, finally some build up for Revolution. AEW's pay-per-view isn't that far off, but you'd never know it from the lack of matches announced for the show. Sure, AEW has been pushing MJF vs Bryan Danielson, but they need to do more. We're not blown away by the card so far, but it's encouraging to see AEW announcing more matches. And number 5, a solid main event. Last night's main event between Dr. Britt Baker, Ruby Soho and Toni Storm was a treat for fans of the women's division. It was a solid match that continued the story of Toni Storm and Saraya's mission to take over AEW, while also showing Ruby Soho being her own person. The only drawback was having Dr. Britt Baker take the pin, something she needs to do less of as she is still AEW's top female performer. Number 1, Jon Moxley vs Adam Page. Does anyone really care? AEW is showing some smarts by making Moxley vs Page a Texas death match, because the stipulation is the only interesting thing about this program. While Moxley always does give it everything in the ring, even wasting no time bleeding in every single match he takes part in, his promos are a little repetitive and dull, and he doesn't provide any motivation for fans to care about who he's wrestling. Page is no Captain Charisma, but he needs to step up his mic game if this series is going to succeed. Number 2, AEW is missing something. The WWE is white hot right now, but even if you don't compare AEW to the WWE, it's hard to find anything exciting going on in AEW. The promotion puts on serviceable shows every week, but it's missing something. AEW has the stars, but it doesn't have any compelling storylines, and it has no babyface who seems like a match for MJF on the mic and in the ring. We believe a writer could actually help out AEW a lot. Number 3, Hook and Hathaway. A silly storyline. Did Vince Russo pick up the pencil for Hook and Hathaway storyline? Hook's suspension makes zero sense when we recall how Stockley has repeatedly slapped AEW crew members around with no consequences, and yet Hook gets suspended for barely touching Hathaway. And we know this is one of wrestling's storytelling devices, is that heels weasel out of trouble, but this segment was hard to swallow. Number 4, AEW's Vanishing Act. AEW has too many top stars missing every week from Dynamite. While it's good to see AEW trying, or at least claiming to try, to feature bigger stars on Rampage, it would be enjoyable to see the likes of Miro and House of Black on AEW's flagship show. Even hype videos would remind fans that these stars haven't gone missing. And 57 titles and nothing's on. The AEW Galaxy can debate whether AEW has too many titles, but if you're gonna have a variety of championships, shouldn't you at least have one title defense on your top show? Now, there was nothing downright ugly. Dynamite was entertaining as always and featured the usual variety of matches, promos and segments without feeling formulaic. It's good to see Adam Cole on television, and depending on his ability to work on a regular basis, he could be the breakout babyface AEW needs right now. But what do you guys think of Dynamite this week? Let us know in the comments down below. Now let's move on to the news. Our first story looks at Real Housewives of Wrestling show in the works. Atop of today's news, is a Housewives of Wrestling series coming? Is the world ready for a reality show similar to the Real Housewives franchise? Well, Nature Boy Ric Flair discussed this during a recent episode of his podcast. Fox and Netflix are looking at picking up the Housewives of Wrestling. Wendy saw the reel yesterday. The series would include Kurt Angle's wife, Randy Orton's wife, Jack Hager's wife, and Flair's companion, Wendy Barlow. Can you really call it Housewives then? Well, anyway, while it's unknown if Slick Rick is legally married to his longtime companion Wendy Barlow, he refers to her as his wife. During his interview, the Nature Boy revealed Wendy is working on a book documenting her life with Ric Flair. She got a check to write her life story with me. She's writing a book and they gave her a hell of a bump up front. Pro wrestling jumped into the reality series genre early on, whether it was WWE's Tough Enough series or later programs such as Total Divas, Legends House and Total Bellas. The WWE capitalized on reality TV's popularity. Other shows such as Hogan Knows Best and TNT's Rhodes to the Top proved to be ratings draws also. Reality shows typically are cheap to produce, which means a decent rating can keep them going for years. Would you guys be interested in seeing a reality series starring wrestlers' wives? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, Tony Khan signs another star. Add Mark Briscoe to the never-ending list of wrestlers signed to All Elite Wrestling. Khan tweeted the news that Mark Briscoe earned his second win on TBS and AEW Dynamite tonight, and now it's official, Mark Briscoe is All Elite. Mark Briscoe is still recognized as one half of the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions following the tragic death of his brother. It's unknown how Ring of Honor plans to deal with the title picture though. Next up, Cody Rhodes' WrestleMania spoiler. It's time for a Cody Rhodes WrestleMania 39 spoiler, but don't worry, this has nothing to do with Rhodes' upcoming main event match. The American Nightmare recently appeared on Hot 97 telling Peter Rosenberg about his plans for this year's Showcase of the Immortals. Small spoiler I guess, I was trying to come up with the idea for a weight belt for a very specific PLE or pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it, where I wrote everybody's independent promotion I worked out on it. Because that was the most important thing that I did, was this connection with these fans and getting them to know, and grassroots that became really my bread and butter. Do you think WWE will let Cody pay tribute to his wrestling past though? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, WWE teased a tag team split. Other Street Profits have been together for a long time, but with Montez Ford preparing for his shot at the US Championship at Elimination Chamber, what will happen if Ford wins? Montez appeared on the Believe in Wrestling podcast recently and said if he wins the belt, I said it's always about us. Since it's always been about us when I win the Elimination Chamber, you'll be the first person to get a title shot. But given wrestling's history of tag teams splitting up over title belts, it's possible Dawkins and Ford could split. Indeed, there have been rumors that WWE is thinking of pushing Ford as a single star. Nevertheless, the New Day have remained together despite various members pursuing singles titles. They don't have to split the profits up, but maybe it's about time that both have a respectable singles career. Next up, Vince McMahon called this the worst match ever. But does Vince McMahon hate the FTR? Well, during his podcast, FTR's Dax Harwood recalled when Vince McMahon told him after the Revival battled the Good Brothers at 2018's Royal Rumble, "We had a match at Royal Rumble, maybe it was Raw, whatever. We come to the back and Vince McMahon is waiting for us, all four of us. We thought the match was good. It was like an 8-minute match. We came to the back and he said, well, that was absolutely the worst wrestling match I've ever seen in my entire life." Harwood seemed to have taken it in his stride, noting Vince had been in the business and seen everything from the Hogan era to the present. You've seen Siviafi, dude. Siviafi and we had the absolute worst match of all time. It's kind of an accomplishment. It was a lot of fun back then. I hope no one else reached that bar. I hope we're still the worst match he's ever seen. To be fair, I don't think he knows we were employed for 8 years. What do you guys think of McMahon's alleged assessment of the match? And finally, another milestone for the Tribal Chief. Last but not least, congrats to Roman Reigns on reaching 900 days as Universal Champion. WWE.com tweeted at 900 days and counting. Do you think Reigns will lose the belt soon? If not, how much longer will he remain as champion? But there you have it, folks. I'll look at Dynamite this week, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.